Very much.
We immediately continue with the next two speakers. We just heard that green sustainability is something that is most important in Germany and internationally, and in this industry in particular. And this topic, green point of sale, your retail shop, how can you paint it more and more green? Because especially young people are attentive to this, that things are sustainable and have a green element. And so we have two experts here who can tell you how it works. That is Miss Sabine Gauditz, who is a visual marketing expert and also wrote a book. She said windows, shop windows as reflecting the business. And then we have Hans Schmidt. He is a librarian. He has a bookshop, and he's also a city manager. And for more than 50 years, he has been talking to his customers intensively and knows exactly what customers want. I'm looking forward to their presentation. Thank you so much. So we get started right away. Green point of sale is a challenge. And what does it mean? And we gave this some thought, and there is a lot that has been said already about sustainability at this fair. And we continue in the same vein, and it's about protecting resources. And also in your shop, you can start very small and you can expand it into all fields, and it concerns also very many fields of the retail element. We are now concentrating on shop fitting and staging. How can I present myself as a green point of sale? How can I communicate with my customers so they really believe it? And the major target group is also the Fridays for Future element group, and the Generation Z that pushed this. Climate change and sustainability, they made it a mainstream topic, and they are quite willing also to buy in a brick and mortar shop, although they are very much online and like to buy online, but they also enjoy shopping and want to see shops. And then the experience, this add-on in such a shop, in addition to products, because those you can find on the internet. So you have to see how you communicate with them, how you communicate via other social networks, so they come to your POS. It's not only Generation Z, we also see older people have mobiles and always look at them. And we have to learn how can we also connect with the others, not only the drivers. What do I want? I want a personal exchange, and I can do this with communication in social media, Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram. As a shop, of course, if you send out personal things together with your little packages or whatever. So I have a community around myself. You want to have inspirations and problem solutions. Okay, then I need competent staff, and I need people that share the same ideas. If you want to have an additional benefit, well, maybe you can have an e-bike charging station in front of the shop, or you have working tables with Wi-Fi or some other areas that have additional uses. Then as a customer, you want to relax and want to avoid boredom. So you need storytelling. And when people come to your shop, you need very convenient seating arrangements or events. Invite a blogger or somebody who can communicate with your target group and also have a selfie point. Of course, you have to have respecting the people's shortage of time. That means people don't want to queue, and they want to find things easily. And at the end, you have also the haptic experience, and that is shop fitting and the staging. All of these elements of influence the way you shape your shop. So what kind of shop do you have? What does it look like? This is an example of Umdash, a store maker that has been looking into this topic for some time already. They thought about what kind of materials can be used, alternative materials for shop fitting. Straw mats, for instance, for the floor, or for the back wall, better acoustics for that with upcycled material. What can I do with these rests of these fish, sardines, and salmons that can be used as biopolymer and second life for things? Then another example, that this is from Green Bee, a new format by Benetton. Of course, the fashion industry is here advanced, but it couldn't be very well adopted by retail shops in the stationery field, because there are things that can be upcycled, recycled. Here we have buttons that are difficult to dispose of, so they were put into resin, or you can have regional pebbles, and recycled wood was used. And it's interesting to see that there are also Green Bee talks for Benetton, where they together with bloggers and influencers push this, and it's a really holistic concept, and this format can be adapted to very many shops and industries, and you don't have to start big, you can start small. And if you start and you enter the shop, it's kind of a checklist you have to go through. And when I enter this room, if you have sustainable products, but how am I received? What do I smell? How do I feel? What is my experience? And the more senses you can appeal to, the more you will be in pushing the awareness of your audience. And if you go on the holistic way, then you must include haptics and materials, tastes, and moss or wood or natural materials, that it is regional, or maybe you also get a gift of a regional or a local sweet shop when you leave. And so the point always is, how does this customer really perceive me? Is this genuine? How do they experience my shop? Let me give you some examples. Small is beautiful. Minimalistic, something like bricks or clay. Wood always is a good material, we talked about that, but I'd like to be more specific. It's not about mass, it's about a selected genuine products, and many people are willing to pay more for sustainable products. The examples we have here, these are examples from other industries, and we hope that we can maybe give you some ideas to go for this. Also in the stationery field, integrate this type of things. So these shops are being reinvented and will be experienced as really green, sustainable, and send us the photos of it so we can show next time yours. This is a pharmacy, and this here you can use for every shop. Lots of wood with black and the concrete, it looks very up to date and not old-fashioned. And against such a neutral background, you need the right fittings or shelves, but many of products could be placed like this. And if you build something like this, I always think of buildings like what we have the Philharmony in Hamburg or the Shard. You know, it looks crazy, but if it's a little bit crazy, people are really interested and they want to come and look at it. It's nothing big here. It's just wooden boards, but it's a genuine experience. And maybe you start in a small corner and start with your green point of sale in one corner, and that doesn't mean you have to revamp the total shop at once. They here used in the bicycle shop reused pallets or wood from pallets. Here a pop-up store with jeans and denim reused, and the upcycled jeans are used everywhere, even in the wall. And if you do something like this, then of course you must communicate this. You must talk about it. You must disseminate it and get a name for it. And then you can combine offline and online best. Your online presentation should also fit this, of course, and suit it well. It says materials here because they are the most important point. Because once you enter a shop, you perceive the materials, and they should be genuine when you use them. Here, for instance, one company, an example that we'd like to explain, it's organoid. They make wallpapers and floorings, and they do it with straw and dried flowers from meadows. And they thought about it. What does this nature do? How people are affected by it? Well, it has a positive effect, not only of the customers, but also for the staff. It just makes people happier. It also helps concentration, and it helps to place your products in a totally different way. I already talked about the room here, the flooring. As I said, not immediately the same always. You shall not throw out everything you have now, because this also is not sustainable. You have a waste of energy for disposing of everything and for buying all the new stuff. So you have to go step by step and do it in a really sensible way. Here, another example, materials that I used. Just to give you some ideas for the customer, when we use green in the garden, maybe half a corner to calm down and make it green, and maybe a desktop that a customer may use for a short period with moss, with green and wood you can work. And here you see a chair made of resin with hemp, and this also plays into this trend of slow food, slow living, and so on. So these things are not throwaway products, and because this is not the trend of the days. You want to keep things, you want to repair them and change them, and want to reuse them. You're living with things that otherwise would be thrown away, and the young designers, they really offer exciting new materials, like here, these nutshells, flooring of nutshells. or a chair made of a fiber of artichokes, wild artichokes. So that's really thrilling what they do. And just look at what there is and what you want to have here. You can work with paper, of course, old books, can have a room installation, and all of this helps that you become a unique shop where people talk about. Because that's what we want to be. We want to be the point of sale where people talk about, and when they say impressive, wow, because everything else you can get on the internet. So when you do your shop fitting, give it much thought. What can I do so the customers want to come and see me? That's the old problem. Nobody has to come to you to buy a pen. But actually, the intention is that customers want to come and also want to come a second time when they were really enthusiastic by the first time. So be personalized, very unique, and make some impression that will stick. Now, we talked about the room, the surroundings. Now, what about the visual merchandising? How can I showcase my products? You have this room, you have a functional presentation, you've got the impulse buying, and how do I set up my products? How can people find what they are looking for, but also make it emotional at the same time? So that is staging. And here are examples for this we have, but I first have to define the theme. If doing a green point of sale, what do you focus? Upcycling, is it wood? Do I want to be like a wood or like a forest? And what do I want to show? Or will I have fall, autumn? And then you need the theme, then you need the area, and also you should have some love for detail, the little dot on the I, as we call it. And then the target group. Whom do you address? The 50 plus, the Generation Z. And you must also give you strength, because you're trying so hard when you do something online, window dressing online and marketing, but in the shop you just say, well, put it on this table and decorate. No, but the marketing must be there, and when the customer is there, I must impress them. I used to say before, you have to be courageous to think out of the box and be crazy. So people come, oh, I didn't expect that. And people must make people smile. That's most important. Whatever you trigger, it must be fun. You can also start with the back to school table and include the Fridays for Future and add denim and present all kinds of different and new ideas, and maybe you get in a creative person, an influencer or blogger, let him do it. You can work with grasses, with natural materials, with wooden boxes, but then I must attempt to take from your product range that you are offer, you pick out whatever makes you sell that product. You know, this special pen, this recycled paper, notebook, and so on. And that could be an image for your product group, and we can do that in many variations. And that makes the staff active as well. Also prior to a fair, for its trade show, and think what kind of theme do I want to represent, and then you must combine it. So at the fair, at the trade show, you buy the right things, and it's not a patchwork, but it is a homogeneous appearance. Now, here about packaging. What can you take from the organic food ideas. Can I also have unpackaged? Can I do it with green colors or with other colors? If you are in front of such a wall, you will probably think about why you absolutely must have some of these pens, Take the things out of the packaging if it's possible. Talk to the manufacturers what else could be done. And as Mr. Schmidt just said, do mood boards for you before you start buying stuff. Will I have something with manufacture? Do you have an old bench there? What else can I do on top of this? What kind of products do I have? How are they packaged? What else would fit? Or will I play on the upcycling idea? Or will I say denim? Will I say upcycling of old drawers or a drum, cable drum, or books? So there are lots of possibilities. PET bottles that you can plant flowers into. Try to reinvent yourself. New rethinking, and this a trade show is great to pass by it and then think about it. What you really want and what suits you. It must always go together. If you want to sell something specific and it doesn't fit this, then try it in another part of your shop. Depending on how big your shop is, if take a specific area, smaller or bigger, depending on the size of your shop, and take one point where you play this idea, reinvent yourself, surprise your customers. And such an installation, you can also take great pictures of this and then upload it to your social media and say, look, we've done what we've done this time. And then the masses will see this and you have a wide reach for this. An example would also be if you have office supplies. Do this in the entrance area, and behind this you have the products. I saw some of the office shops that do that, but others are totally ugly and shocking and boring. And this is something for life. If either you do this yourself or 2 or 3 times a year get something else from external with a mood board and something. But take another step and create an experience. The products for buying are not the priority anymore. The focus is I want to have fun, I want to have a good experience, I want to be touched. And that's the way you should communicate. Another crazy example, this is Christmas with many products, but you must say, this has to be planned along ahead of time. You could have pens, bags, calendars, whatever. You could say have a forest installation, and maybe I can buy a big boar and put it in or rent it. Well, you see. That is a good effect where people are really shocked. And the boar, you can also price it. You are allowed to sell everything. Maybe somebody really wants to buy a boar and buy it. Is it possible? You don't have to warehouse it or make it as cheap. And you have your purchasing price and you have a wonderful staging. And marketing really costs money. And the price for this board probably is not as expensive as having somebody do it. Just think ahead, out of the box, and think what makes me a green point of sale and what materials does it need. And if your staging is to be effective, then put the right lighting there. We here have these lights here that highlight us, and therefore you should also do this. And you must move up to the ladder and adjust your lighting, and hopefully your lighting is adjustable. And storytelling is most important. The history that is told by your products and your shop and your staff. The staff are working at the cashier. That must be a person that is in a good mood, because that will remind the customer that he needs to come back. And you will have the backdrop with your staging and your products, and then the customers will remember this. And you probably, if you push the right buttons, as we try to explain in a very fast way now here, and think also about air conditioning and how much heating do I need this, you can become even greener. You see, do you get your electricity from regional suppliers? What is your carbon footprint? Yes, that's the next step. But first of all, you have to communicate visually. 2 more words. Remember to do something really, really crazy, honestly crazy. And when you do something crazy, make the customers remember, oh, they did something great. I'm curious. I want to go back. And that's the way you should do it. Do it in a sustainable way in your green point of sale, and make it so people will remember it. Because only if people get it in their subconscious that was great there. If somebody bought something and don't remember you, they wouldn't come back. So think of that. Stage all things to be remembered, and enjoy your stay at the fair. Thank you very much. Thank you, Ms. Gauditz and Mr. Schmidt, for these many inspirations. I'd like to ask people, do you have specific questions about this presentation? Do you want to have something special? Otherwise, like the other speakers, they will also be around.